You tap your phone, open an app, scroll, swipe, play, stream, shop, chat, bank, book flights, take pictures, send messages, and never once pause to think about what makes all of that possible. We take apps for granted. We treat them like magic. But behind that magic, there's an immovable foundation, the infrastructure that powers them all. Servers, data centers, cloud platforms, the unseen engine room of the digital world. And behind that engine room stands a billionaire most people don't associate with apps, software, or the everyday internet. Yet his company, the one he built, runs the backbone of nearly every app you use. Social networks, video games, ride-sharing, banking apps, news, search. They all rely on this invisible power beneath the surface. This is the story of Jeff Bezos, the billionaire who owns the company behind every app you use. Before you imagine another flashy billionaire in celebrity culture, let me stop you. This isn't about red carpets, interviews, or billionaire ego posts. It's about the hidden infrastructure that runs behind the screens of billions of devices, and one man's vision that turned that infrastructure into the most powerful engine in the digital world. The man behind the clouds. Jeffrey Preston Bezos didn't start life dreaming about cloud computing. He started with books. In 1994, he launched Amazon in his garage as an online bookstore. But Bezos wasn't satisfied with selling books. He had bigger ideas about customer experience, long-term thinking, scale, and logistics. In the early 2000s, as Amazon grew, Bezos noticed something. The company had built vast computing infrastructure to support its online marketplace. Servers, storage, networking, data processing, databases, all of it at massive scale. Amazon needed to build these systems for itself, the company's own apps and website. But what if other companies needed the same thing? Most businesses didn't have the resources or expertise to run massive data centers. Yet the world was moving online. Apps were exploding. Developers needed servers. They needed storage. They needed scalable computing power without building their own hardware farms. So in 2006, Bezos made a decision that would shape the future of the internet. He opened Amazon's internal technology infrastructure, its cloud, to the public. He called it Amazon Web Services, the hidden company behind every app. AWS wasn't flashy. There were no viral marketing campaigns, no celebrity ads, no big consumer branding. It was purely infrastructure, tools developers could use to build, run, and scale applications. Amazon wasn't selling clothes or electronics this time. It was selling compute power, virtual servers that could run code, store data, process transactions, distribute content, and scale up or down in real time. At first, people didn't grasp how monumental this was. Why would developers rent computing power instead of owning their own servers? Why pay someone else to run critical back-end systems? That sounded risky, even weird. But that was precisely the genius of Bezos's move. He wasn't selling to consumers. He was selling to the world of developers, startups, enterprises, and governments. And once they started using AWS, there was no going back. Today, AWS powers millions of applications, from the newest mobile games to enterprise systems, international banking platforms, emergency response networks, streaming video services, and yes, even other companies' cloud services. When you use Instagram, TikTok, Spotify playlists, Snapchat filters, Uber rides, WhatsApp messages, Alexa voice services, banking apps, airline apps, you're indirectly tapping into AWS infrastructure. Not because AWS is the only cloud provider, but because it's the biggest, fastest, most widely adopted, and most deeply embedded platform in the world. And the man who started it all? Jeff Bezos, the billionaire behind the clouds. Why AWS changed everything. To understand the significance of AWS, you need to picture how computing worked before the cloud era. Before AWS, companies had to build their own data centers, buy hardware, install servers, manage upgrades, handle security, pay electricity bills, lease real estate, hire teams to maintain everything. It was expensive, slow, and risky. AWS changed that in one swoop. Instead of buying servers, companies could rent them on demand. Instead of planning years ahead for capacity, they could scale up instantly when traffic spiked and scale down when it didn't. Instead of maintaining hardware, they could focus on software. It was like switching from owning a power plant to just plugging into the grid. This idea sounds normal now. It's so normal that most people never stop to think about it. But before AWS, this was revolutionary. Suddenly, a small startup could spin up a server in minutes. A global company could deploy applications on multiple continents without building its own global infrastructure. Governments could run services without building data centers. Developers could experiment without massive upfront investments. This shift wasn't about branding. It wasn't about consumer visibility. This was about a structural transformation of how the digital world exists. Apps don't run by themselves. They require machines somewhere. AWS became that somewhere, the default launchpad for digital innovation. And because AWS became the default infrastructure for apps, Jeff Bezos, through Amazon, effectively became the hidden backbone of the modern app economy. Every app, unseen, think about your day for a moment. You wake up and check your phone. Messages load instantly. Apps open. News updates push. Payments go through. Photos back up. Maps route you. Videos buffer seamlessly. You don't see servers. You don't see data centers. You don't see traffic routing across networks. You just experience the app. Yet behind the scenes, on the infrastructure level, these experiences are governed by enormous systems hosted by cloud providers, and AWS consistently leads in this space. By 2025, AWS accounted for roughly 32 to 34% of the global cloud infrastructure market, far ahead of competitors. Its services, including computing, storage, databases, analytics, machine learning, network services, identity management, and more, are used by Fortune 500 companies, governments, startups, global apps, and nonprofit organizations. It's the reason why apps can scale from thousands of users to millions without collapsing. It's the reason developers don't need warehouses full of servers. It's the reason you can enjoy a world full of software at your fingertips. And all of that runs on cloud infrastructure that Jeff Bezos built and opened to the world. A billionaire who owns, not a consumer brand, but the platform that every major app indirectly rides on. It's not just servers. Its power apps might be the front door of the digital world, but cloud infrastructure is the foundation. Without cloud computing, social media apps wouldn't scale. Streaming platforms would lag or crash. Online banking would be slower and costlier. Small startups couldn't afford global reach. AI systems wouldn't train at scale. E-commerce platforms wouldn't operate in real time. Cloud infrastructure is the invisible foundation of our digital lives, and AWS is the biggest part of that foundation. By creating services that developers use to build and host their software, Jeff Bezos didn't just create a business, he restructured the technical backbone of the modern world. And here's the irony. He did it not by building a consumer brand, but by enabling other people's brands. Apple owns iPhones, Meta owns social networks, Google owns search and Android. But Bezos owns the company that runs the web infrastructure many of those apps depend on. It's a level of influence most people never think about. Imagine owning electricity before the light bulb. Imagine owning railroads before trains became the dominant mode of transport. Imagine owning the road network cities use every day. That's what AWS is in the digital age. The road network beneath every app. The billionaire behind it all. Jeff Bezos isn't just the founder of Amazon. He's the architect of the cloud economy. AWS is consistently the most profitable segment of Amazon's business, despite being less visible to the average consumer. While Amazon's consumer business sells products people see and interact with, AWS sells infrastructure people never see, and yet it's incredibly valuable. By 2025, AWS revenue was in the tens of billions annually, trailing none in profitability compared to other cloud giants. Meanwhile, Bezos, having stepped down as CEO of Amazon in 2021, still retains significant ownership and influence over the company he founded. He's a billionaire many people associate with online shopping, but the true scope of his influence is deeper than that. He owns the pipeline through which most of the world's digital experiences flow. It's a different kind of power, one that doesn't require fame or daily headlines. It doesn't require an app name on your home screen. It operates silently in the background, yet everything you do depends on it. That's why calling him the billionaire who owns the company behind every app you use isn't hyperbole. It's the literal truth of how modern digital infrastructure works. Why you should care. It's easy to admire the app on your phone and never think about where it runs. And that's by design. Infrastructure should be invisible. But the reality is that who controls infrastructure controls the future of technology. Bezos's AWS hasn't just powered apps. It's powered entire industries. Fintech, health tech, logistics, media, AI, autonomous systems. Because AWS isn't just servers. It's storage, machine learning platforms, global networking, identity systems, and tools that developers build on every day. Nearly every major innovation in tech in the last decade, from artificial intelligence to real-time streaming, from global e-commerce to remote work, has been built on cloud infrastructure that AWS helped pioneer. And the company behind all of that, the one that powers thousands of services, millions of apps, and an ecosystem that touches billions of users, it's owned by a billionaire named Jeff Bezos. If you want more stories about the hidden giants shaping the world, The billionaires you've never heard of but whose influence you feel every day. Hit like, subscribe, and stick around. Because the world's most powerful people aren't always the ones in the spotlight. They're the ones under the hood, building the engines that run every app you love.